Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. No, I haven't done any philosophizing in a while, but just with all the stuff and things happening, and due to a confluence of events, I thought it appropriate. Why? Because I can. So I'm going to speak some words now, and we're going to review part of this video that had come out. I think it's from the something Machiavellian's channel, yada yada. Yes, yes. If you read The Prince, this obviously isn't going to go well. But I think a lot of times we talk about different things, we argue about different things, and we should argue about different things. But I think occasionally we might get confused about some of the things we're actually arguing about. So, how the heck are we going to start this off? Speak some words, my friend.
People think they don't care about concepts when in fact they fight and live and die by them, but often they haven't taken the time to understand the concepts very well. Arguments can go on for a long time with the major premises on each side taken for granted and invisible to everyone.
Oh, I'm sure nobody's ever felt that way before. There's the thing. All right, we're going to go through it. And part of this was inspired. Shout out to Mary B. She did a tweet, and I'm like, that's strong. I'm not exactly sure some of the context as well. And we're going to get into that because, as far as I know from Professor Wolfram, concept space might be an actual thing. I'm sure other folks have talked about that, but let's just go through this crack. The whole point is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to figure out what's going on, or are you just trying to convince yourself and maybe some other people? Hey, you can totally do that. Just be honest. That's all. Where are we going? Okay. I've labeled these in particular ways. Let's see where we go. Twitter.
According to Ward Farnsworth, the author of the book The Socratic Method, a strong candidate for a one-word opposite of the Socratic method would be Twitter. Fanatical.
Imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. And here's the thing. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Because if you believe that people have the right to speak their minds, you might not agree with everybody. Here's the thing. There's nobody that I agree with everything on, heck, including myself. I disagree with myself all the time. But we continue.
Partisanship, wishful thinking in place of truth, shaming of dissenters, the censorship or self-censorship of dissenting views, inability of people who disagree to talk, let alone cooperate. Everyone sees all this on the rise, and most thinking people fear and loathe all that it involves and portends.
I think portends means what's probably going to happen. I don't know. I need the context to kind of get it in there. But, oh, hey, Parrothead. Yes, yes. I miss the days where we could just do some dancing squirrels and just move on with our lives. But I digress. I hope someday everybody will be able to know the true glory of watching squirrels dance the Gangnam style on their own choice. But again, I'm sure none of this sounds familiar to anybody or recently with anything. Let's go on a little more.
I believe that the Socratic method could put a stop.
Okay, he's basically advocating that this is a useful thing. I don't disagree with him. I think it's a very useful thing. Maybe it was just because I don't know. Probably just because I'm a narcissist, but also I had a history teacher back my junior year of high school. Professor Lemire. I call him professor because he was an actual professor. I never actually took him in college, so it's actually kind of sad. But he really hit home on philosophy. Basically, the month or several weeks that we spent on philosophy in high school was far better than anything I got in college. But again, I only did an intro class, and that was pretty much it. Maybe like abnormal. It's like, oh no, that's something else, different discipline. Oh, hey Jeb, what's going on, my friend? We're just putting a little context that perhaps it's useful to somebody. Perhaps it's just me putting out some content. Perhaps it's in the superposition of both of those things. Can't two things be true at the same time? We get to the trial of Socrates.
Dictum, know thyself, that was inscribed at the Temple of Apollo in Delphi. In 399 BC, Socrates went on trial in Athens for impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens.
I know. How dare you put dangerous ideas in people's heads? Now, are you putting ideas or are you putting questions? Is a question an idea? I suppose, but I've long stood by questions can be dangerous. We continue with the trial of Socrates.
Plato's dialogue, the Apology, professes to be the speech made by Socrates in his own defense at his trial. In the Apology, Socrates says, "The unexamined life is not worth living."
So, a little context. Allegedly, according to history, Socrates had plenty of time. He could have skipped town and everything and gone on doing Socratic stuff and things. Allegedly, he had a dream, and there was a demon that came to him, or what he called a demon, some spirit of something, and it said, "You got to deal with this." Long story short, apparently he chose to face trial where he knew he was going to be convicted and executed because it wasn't worth living if people weren't willing to evaluate at least themselves.
Socrates believed that living a life where you live under the rules of others, in a continuous routine without examining what you actually want out of it, is not a life that's worth living. The ridiculous is, in short, the specific name which is used to describe the vicious form of a certain habit, and of vice in general, it is the kind which is most at variance with the inscription at Delphi.
Nobody would ever seek out tasty stuff and things that we agree with, except for me. But then again, I'm a terrible human being. Hey, Kale, good to see you. Good to see. We need to have another talk. I'm not saying that neutron decay cosmology is inevitable. In my opinion, it's very probable. We continue. Where was that? We got to the trial. All right. What is the Socratic method itself? It's actually very simple. We'll get into the complex part of it.
When someone makes a claim about right and wrong or good and bad, question it. Ask what the claim means and about other things its holder believes, and look for tension between those points. Show with your questions that the claim must be in some way unsatisfactory to the person who made it. In effect, you deny what your discussion partners say, but the denial is artful. If you do this right, it won't even sound like an argument. They will refine their claims, and now you do it again.
All right. So basically, it's the whole medieval technique of if you're having a debate, what do? Well, you need to agree upon what the heck you're actually debating about. Otherwise, you're just going to be talking past each other. If you just want to talk past each other, if you just want to yell at another person, the internet is a fantastic place for that. Why? Because on the internet, typically, we miss out on the general thing. At least when I was growing up as a kid, when occasionally people would yell at each other, you avoid a punch in the face. That's what it is. Now, I do not condone violence unless we legalize dueling, but I'm just saying, yeah, you could say a lot of words on the internet. You don't have to worry. And that's why the internet can be a very, very fun and safe space. Now, if you're actually just trying to actually figure out what the truth is, because we say the truth. Some people say their truth. What is the truth? I've heard, well, it depends on who you ask. I've heard there's A's truth. There's B's truth. Where is C? Somewhere lies in the middle. Perhaps there are multi-truths. At that point, it's starting to sound like we're living in many different worlds. Don't that just be it all? Hello, Fractal and Keisho. Oh, we're going way back. Yes, we're going back to the Velociraptor days. Yes. But let's continue on a little bit. Let's think there might be a little bit more.
This can just as well be applied to question your own beliefs, and this is what we will focus on in the rest of this video.
How dare you!
It is just as important that you question your own beliefs as it is to question someone else's. Questions in the Socratic spirit are to...
Okay, so here's the thing. If you're trying to figure out what is going on, what is actually going on, I mean, we're going to have our own reference frame, our old experiences, our priors. If we've experienced a lot of stuff over the course of our existence, and we see something that kind of seems similar to that, well, why wouldn't we think it would be that? It's not like we would make broad generalizations or something like that. I mean, God, who would ever do something like that? Again, except me. Again, terrible people. The terrible people. You can totally not tell that my first concert was Manson. All right. So let's get into the sad part.
Education doesn't teach you how to think, nor does society.
Not always.
In fact, we are constantly urged not to think and just react. This is the worst kind of existence to someone like Socrates. There's nothing worse than self-deception, when the deceiver is always at home and always with you.
Now, in hindsight from a couple millennia, that could be interpreted quite differently. There is nothing worse than self-deception. When the deceiver is always home and always with you. Did Socrates just predict the internet? I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. It's like, all right. At least from my interaction when I was in the realm politic, it's like I would hear things of like, oh, these are bad people. These bad people are bad. Oh, what they do? They do these things. All right, go over there. It's like, let me look for myself. Okay, I see people that you very much disagree with. You highlighted a lot of particular things that don't. If I consume enough content from the person that's saying those things, I'm like, could that person with enough background and enough time viewing your internet history not say things very similar? It kind of nets out, and hey, whatever you want to support. You do you, boo. That's the thing. I ain't the boss of nobody. I'm just saying that occasionally, when we're talking about things that are very important to us, how important are they to us? Personally, I think a 7-point scale would work. Why? Because you got straight dab in the middle. You can have neutral. I don't really have an opinion. 1, you're really honoring. You don't like that thing at all. No, sir, I don't like it. 7, totally best thing in the world. I swear. Continue.
To begin a Socratic inquiry, you first ask open-ended questions so that you can settle on an explanation. Once a position is taken, then you bear down on the explanation and see if it holds up to scrutiny. It's like a lawyer.
Wait. Now, let's go back to that because this is very important.
To begin a Socratic inquiry, you first ask open-ended questions so that you can settle on an explanation.
Okay, so what it said is, basically, hypothetically, if you were to try to do this on Twitter, you see something you disagree with, you would ask a question. Basically like, all right, if this was to be true, what was the case? Now, you could always just respond with, lols, you're totally wrong. You can totally do that, send a bunch of memes. Hey, you have the right to do that. If you are actually trying to figure out what is going on in actuality to seek the truth. And the actual truth, what is true? Truth does not always equal what is convenient. At least I remember Professor Peterson murmuring something like that long ago.
Once a position is taken, then you bear down on the explanation and see if it holds up to scrutiny.
So you disagree. You actually go through. It's like, all right. So, well, I'm going to disagree. You look for the weak points are. Why? I don't know. In technology, they call that like red testing or something. Why? We built something. We think it's strong. Do we know it can actually stand up to actually bearing a load? What if we actually have folks that try to see where the weaknesses are? Oh, why would we ever want to see where the weaknesses are? So we can get rid of them. I mean, that's only if you want to solve the problem. If you just want to see it burn, again, you have the right to do that. I'm not the boss. Okay, I'm not going to say you have the right to do that. I don't know. It depends on where country. My opinion is you have a right to an opinion. All right, we'll leave it at that. Continue, dude.
It's like a lawyer cross-examining a witness. You attempt to
Oh,
approach a conclusion from different angles. The more ways you can reach the same conclusion, the more consistent it will be and the better thought out.
now another reason why I'm doing this is because as he makes a couple of like sciencey examples there, and that was kind of what I was trying to do yesterday with the whole. It's like, all right, I call it the AC squared conjecture. I was just trying to approach things from different angles and different paths, and if you can get them to line up enough, you could increase your confidence. Even if I have confidence, it doesn't mean it's right. That's why you need other people. And it's like you look around, if you actually have something logical, maybe people will pick up on it. They might not always speak about it. Why? Because of the thing earlier in the video. People have different pressures. Decide if I say this thing about this person in this way, about this context, it may trigger this thing. These people might get angry and offended. I'm going to get my DMs all in line with this. People are going to try to buy. Hey, whatever. There's all different things. Again, you take care of yourself. It's a crazy world out there. All right. We go on to, we'll wrap this up. All right. So, how does one become ungaslightable?
We all need an internal Socrates to challenge our beliefs and to keep us awake. This adversary within the self that questions and keeps you from getting comfortable with your convictions is what Nietzsche referred to as an intellectual conscience.
Wait a second. Oh, that kind of sounds like maybe what Socrates was talking about a demon. It's something that was talking to him. It's like, yeah, this probably ain't the right thing there. Now, again, I'm not a psychologist, a historian, any of those fancy things. I am a dude on the internet. Well, as a dude on the internet, it doesn't sound like the worst idea. I digress.
For Nietzsche, it is not about having the courage to hold a certain conviction, but rather to have the courage to attack your convictions. To prove a conviction is quite senseless. Rather, it is important to prove that one has a right to be so convinced.
Oh, that resonated with me. I don't know about all of you. But what is that? It's like, all right, you can prove a conviction. Why? We're going to find a particular case. All right, does that prove it? Or is that an instance of it? I think within, was it like mathematics or logic, when you consider a proof as something that holds true. Now, there are certain things that it looks like it's obviously true, but can you prove that it holds in all cases? And that means that if there is one instance where that doesn't hold, then what you're saying is not true. Now, it might be the case in the vast majority of instances. Yeah, it might be most cases. Some things may be some cases. It's the difference between saying all and most and many and some. In math, you're just going to be able to usually tell because other folks will be like, yeah, no, this isn't right. You didn't actually prove it. Ultimately, does it compute? That's why a lot of people like code, because if the code computes, it either works or it doesn't. It might be buggy, but at least it's doing a thing. Sometimes it does it better than intended, and that's a very happy day, I hear. All right, I think we have a little more.
What Plato shows with his dialogues on Socrates is that the search for truth never really ends. The point here is not to reach any conclusions, but learn more about how you think.
Wait a second. How do we win the game then? It just may. Oh my god. Did Socrates also predict the modern MMORPG? I don't know.
Socratic method is a correction for the bad habits of the mind when left to itself. The Socratic method is a potent antidote against that particular form of stupidity, which involves a love of holding opinions.
But I love my opinions.
In this case, the bad habit is the love of holding opinions. It feels good to know what you think.
I know, and I love to broadcast it to the world. Why? Because I can. And it makes me feel better about myself. Continue with the dude on the internet. Link in the doobly-doo.
When people turn to philosophy, they usually want more of that pleasure. If not more of what they already think, then something else to be sure about. But in his view, our most urgent problem is that we're certain when we shouldn't be and think we know what we don't.
Okay, here's the thing. This delves into, I hate to say it again, it's the whole Joe Rogan, Terrence Howard, Dr. Eric Weinstein, and stuff like that. It's like, you can say things, and perhaps there is some truth to it. But the way Dr. Weinstein put it, it's like playing blackjack. It's like, all right, 16, hit me. 19, hit me. 20, hit me. Bust, hit me. And it's like, here's the thing. When you start off and you couch something, and a lot of the Wolfram streams, you learn this. It's like, I claim versus this is. Now, when you're saying this is the explanation to life, the universe, and everything, yeah, maybe that is the case. I don't know. If you're making a grand claim and it's something out there and you're stating your opinion, would that not be more accurate to say, in my opinion, this would help better explain for this? Now, again, is that always the most salacious headline? No, it might be a much more tame headline. Now, I'm sure nobody would ever adjust the level of urgency of a particular headline depending on who the names and faces are. I would be wrong. Because we want the truth, right? Or do we want things that make us feel better about ourselves? Again, whatever you want.
The Socratic method doesn't replace your current opinions with better ones. It changes your relationship to your opinions. It replaces the love of holding them with the love of testing them.
Now, again, whatever you want to do, it's not like anybody's ever changed their opinion about anything. Oh no, the truth. Where does that bring us?
Because of science and our technology, we have come to exaggerate our understanding of the world around us. But sometimes knowledge itself is a limitation, an idea which Nietzsche was well aware of.
So here's the thing. It's like, we know so many things. Yes, we have so many other inferences of other different stuff and things that's going on. Yes, that may be true. I don't know about you, but if all of a sudden Subway or Wendy's closed and stuff, I would probably starve. They're gone to the wilderness. What? Like Minecraft start punching a tree, get some sticks. Oh, fire? Oh my! You don't turn on the stove. God, you're lucky if you have some matches. Or I won't get into that. Continue, dude, on the internet.
Many philosophers end up becoming blinded by the systems they create. It stops them from keeping an open mind and to keep searching for truth. We are trying to find the final theory that will explain everything, even though...
Oh, yeah. Yada. Okay, we get to the last thing. All right, it's like
Nietzsche said, there are two types of people in the world: those who want to know and those who want to believe.
I mean, I want to believe. I want to believe things. But just because I want to, doesn't that mean I'm going to be looking for things? Shouldn't I be aware I'm looking for those things? Because otherwise, see earlier parts in who you're trying to fool in the video. Again, whatever you want to do, my outlet aside from pornography is usually like fan-made Godzilla videos on the internet. Damn, there's some really good ones. Highly recommend. Again, whatever you want to do, just my personal opinion.
Those who want to know value a search for truth that does not end, and those who want to believe seek opinions they can hold unconditionally.
Wait. Are you saying that it's possible to find whatever you want on the internet? Oh my God. You did it again. I claim, or I postulate, did Socrates predict Rule 34? I don't know.
Soren Kierkegaard, in his Sickness Unto Death, wrote, "It never occurs to anybody that what the world needs, confused as it is by much knowing, is a Socrates."
But okay, so ultimately, what I break in, that's basically the end of the video there. The whole point of that is Oh my God, what can we learn about Socrates? Well, it would be useful to have more Socrates. It's basically just the propagation. It's the mimetic of the Socratic method. That's ultimately what it is. Again, it's a technique where I've spoke with different people that have vastly different opinions. If you actually try to come at it from rather than, well, you're wrong and evil, occasionally you can have a conversation. Now, you're free to believe that they're wrong and evil. I mean, it's not like they think the exact same thing about you, because we all know what they say. You are rubber and I am glue, whatever. Oh, wait. No. Well, actually, no, that's true. That's true. It's all my fault. Why? Because duh. Take care of yourselves, everyone. It's a wacky and wild world out there, but hey, just keep on thinking. Peace out, everybody.